Yeah, we also have other news, Spaz, and there's nothing like getting great sarcasm, great news before the season starts. Even
Yeah.
nothing, nothing like it at all. Absolutely nothing like it.
No, not at all.
let's let's start with I don't know. Each one is kind of weird. Let's go with the maybe lesser worst situation,
Yeah.
and I would argue you can argue with me that this is actually the worst. I'm leaning that actually this is the lesser of the two things. Defensive back, safety. Why did that not spell out correctly? I could not type earlier. Apparently, I've got to fix that. But Trey McNutt has
Broken
broken
his
his
leg.
leg. Broken his leg. Yikes! I need to fix
However,
this.
it is only a hairline fracture, so they're saying 6 to 10 weeks.
Yeah, I heard 6 to 12, but at the same time, I'm going to fix this really quickly because I don't know why that did not get corrected. So either way, that's still
And in the end run, whereas with other injuries and such, Dan has came out and said, they're probably not going to make it back. He believes that Trey McNutt has the possibility to make it back uh, this season, later in the season. So obviously, that tells me they were planning on using him in some capacity. He is a true freshman, 5-star recruit. Um, so they were definitely planning on using him in some packages. So that hurts a little bit in the depth on the defensive back safety issue, but not too bad because, again, that's another area that we're pretty deep in. So
well, that's
just
it.
have to see.
That's why I said you could argue either or because the recruiting in the defensive backfield and a couple of the transfers have been pretty solid to fill in those gaps. How much of an impact would it have been? Of course, the depth is nice, but how much of an impact would it have been? I think is the question that we don't know, and it depends on the recovery. The biggest thing, the best thing for McNutt here is it's broken bone, not like a muscle tear or a ligament damage.
Yeah.
A bone will set and heal as long as it's done properly, whereas
And,
ligament or
and it's
muscle
not a
can,
compound fracture. If it had been a compound fracture, season would have been done.
yeah, but like muscles and ligaments, those can be continuously repeating as injuries or nagging injuries. Whereas like a bone, once it heals, you're going to be okay. Once it heals. Oh, that
Yeah.
would be something.
Battle of the Fighting Marios. Yeah. That would be something to see.
Especially if you didn't take a knee.
Yeah.
That will live on in Oregon and Miami infamy.
And in the other not so thrilling and exciting news,
Oh, man.
uh, it was announced a couple of days ago. Dan Lanning came out yesterday and said, yes, it's official. Uh, 5-star wide receiver from 3 years ago, Jurion Dickey, has been suspended from the team. Uh, he's got a bit of an attitude problem, apparently. Starting some fights, showing up late to practices, different things, but things that can be fixed. You know, we'll see. The one thing I will say about Dan is he doesn't just kick people off; he gives them an opportunity to fight for their job. Uh, Up to this point, Jurion has kind of been a disappointment because he hasn't really lived up to that 5-star potential yet. He's had a few catches here and there, but for some reason he's just not clicking. He had a really rough upbringing. He was very troubled growing up, apparently. Had some issues. So, there's all those things that are, creeping in. Young kid, needs some discipline. And maybe that's what'll be good for him.
Yeah, in the presser, it was like Dan said, there's two main rules: be on time to things and be respectful. And so I have a feeling this is a combination of the two potentially, but how long it's been going on, how many times, that's the kind of the question mark. And why? Maybe he's frustrated about not having the production that he thinks he should have had by now, or all the other receivers around him, where he's not the focus. It's really hard to say what it is, but you just mentioned it, and it's true. Look at a guy like Trayshawn Holden last year. I mean, one of the dumbest things I've ever seen any player do, spit on the Ohio State defensive backs. Literally. And what did Dan do immediately? When besides he was ejected from the game, Dan suspended him and said, "You have to prove yourself." And Trayshawn went right to work, proving himself that he was a team player and that he was willing to be back. And Dan still held him out a game. And then even then, it was kind of minimal. But then you saw him come right back in and show what he needed to do. So, but that's what the whole point is. Dan wants people to be accountable. So I don't know what Jurion Dickey's issue is exactly, but obviously there's something that Dan doesn't like.
And now, due to that discipline that Dan held Trayshawn into, Trayshawn is probably the number 3 or number 4 receiver in Dallas.
After going undrafted.
After going undrafted. He has turned heads down in Oxnard, California, in Cowboys training camp, and he's made some nice grabs, and he shows up. He's ready to go every day, day in, day out. The Cowboys coaching staff is very happy with him to this point, and they're quite surprised. So that's a good thing.
If he shows up to be number 3 or even solidly 4, whatever, or solid rotational to get someone like that undrafted, any coaching staff's going to be thrilled.
Yeah.
Don't have to worry about that salary cap.
Yeah, that's what you call a draft steal.
Yeah, exactly. I really thought he was going to go at least in the 6.
Yeah, so did I.
So